Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. Paul Jasson, and today, at least the first half of the show, something a little different. I'm in a little more casual mode here as we begin our show today. First, thanks for joining us. We're downtown at Fairfield Federal, always our home, and we're glad to be here. But today we're going to talk Honor Flight, which I hope most of our viewers understand what that is. If not, we'll explain it. But we had our guest on last year, I don't know, August, September sometime, we'll find out. But we talked about honor flights and what it all was, and they kind of got me involved in it. And so I actually went on an honor flight last, let's go with September. Last October, almost the last one for the year, and what an experience, and we'll talk about that. But I'm having my guest on here, Lori Cronin. Lori Cronin is a volunteer and also on the board of Honor Flight Columbus. You were here, I don't know when it was, August maybe, I'm not sure, and we talked about it, and it kind of got me involved in a little bit, and I'm so glad you did.
Thank you.
It was everything and more that you said it was. It was unbelievable, and we'll talk about it, but we spent the day in Washington, D.C. seeing incredible monuments and just told lies to other people like me who were in the service. It's all about the servicemen, and you know, the one thing that impressed me was that I didn't go on that for how many years has this been going on? Do you know?
Honor Flight Columbus originated in 2007.
Okay, so it's been going on quite a while, but I never really paid much attention. Basically, I always felt that it was like the World War II guys, the Korean guys who were really the greatest generation, that group of people. I thought somebody like me who was just a guy in this military, but it's really for anybody that had a DD-214, you can go.
Yes, so we are taking our senior veterans, so anyone who served active duty up until May of 75.
Okay.
So we are taking our World War II veterans, our Korean War veterans, and our Vietnam War veterans, and any of the veterans who served in those years, even in between those wars.
Now, I most of our group, and probably most of any group, was Vietnam veterans. I mean, that's the era I was in. But we did have I think we had a World War II guy who was in a wheelchair, but boy, what a spry guy. He was sharp as all get out. And it's such a pleasure to see them and talk to them. And I'm sure you, Lori went with us on our flight. She goes, I don't know if you go on every flight, but you go on most every one. And the stories that you hear from these, especially the older guys. I mean, the guys my age, we have stories, but they're not real stories. Those World War II guys and the Korean guys, they've really got great memories.
Well, every flight is special, and every one of our servicemen are special. We love all of the stories, and they are all unique.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing day. I know when I first got involved in this, I had to be, I don't know what time I had to be up there, 4:30, like 2 in the morning. I don't know what time it was.
Dark 30.
Dark 30 was it. But we went up there, but it's run like a Swiss watch. I mean, you guys know what you're doing. Honor Flight Columbus, which Lori represents. We went up there, we got involved, we got in, got everything signed up. Everything was perfect. I mean, God, you really run a tight operation.
Yeah, we've had a lot of experience. We are one of the most active honor flight hubs across the United States. So we're very proud of of Honor Flight Columbus.
I think the job you do up there. How many flights did you get to run last year in 2021?
It was such an amazing year. We actually flew 10 missions in 2.5 months last year. We had an amazing schedule planned for 2020. We had 10 flights planned for 2020, and COVID happened. No. And so unfortunately we didn't get to fly for a year and a half. And so when opportunity arose, we decided we were going to honor our veterans, and so we flew 10 missions in 2.5 months and took 1,200 veterans to Washington to honor them, to see their memorials.
Now, each time there is one of these flights, there's 2 flights that go at once.
Is that
always? No,
not always.
In our flight, there was.
Yes.
We were flight I think I was 109 and there was a 110, and 2 full planes. I mean, they are full to the gills. Certainly a lot of volunteers. I would be remiss. We had a young lady, and I think this was her first time. I don't know what they're called. The people that Guardians. Yes. They wore blue shirts, but we wore the red ones. We get these cool red shirts. They wore the blue ones. Jodie Kaplan, she's a teacher in the Columbus City Schools. She couldn't be here today because she has a real day job, Columbus City Schools. She had to be there today. But they go with, I think we had 4 people in our group, which seemed to be an average. But there are so many volunteers, and they take you around every whim, every little thing you need. They take such good care of you. I mean, what a great operation. It was so wonderful to see everybody enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, our job is to honor you with a day to visit your memorials and basically just show you a wonderful time and spoil you rotten.
Well, and that's exactly what you did. We got spoiled rotten. I was trying to think. We went to the World War II, the Korean, Vietnam Wall, of course. I know we went about 6 or 7 of them. I can't remember where else all of them were.
So, of course, Lincoln Memorial is right there also.
Yeah, Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah, we went to the changing of the guard.
That was
at
amazing.
Arlington
We got to
Cemetery.
see the changing of the guard, and it
front
was
row seats. So
amazing ceremony. I'd seen it years ago just as somebody going over, but we had front row seats. It was, excuse me, it was wonderful to do that. Golly, it was neat, and just we had a perfect day weather-wise. We wore shorts and short-sleeve shirts, and this was, when we say it was October, and there was only 1 flight after ours. A couple weeks later they went, but we had wonderful weather. It was just a perfect day, and we went to someplace I didn't even know existed. It was a women's museum, and we actually had our evening meal there. It was a beautiful, huge museum representing what women, their contribution in the service.
It is a hidden gem.
It is.
Right at the entrance of Arlington National Cemetery.
Oh, that's one place I wanted to mention too. We spent a great deal of time at Arlington. Well, again, we talk about changing of the guard and all that, but boy, what you talk about a moving place. I'm sure every time you walk in, you get the same goosebumps.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Every trip, every mission that we take is so special.
And I just can't tell you how great everybody that I talked with, how much they enjoyed this moment. And I'm sure that's the story you'll hear every time from the hundreds of people you take, however often they go.
And it's unique too because, I mean, oftentimes you may have been to Washington, D.C., and you may have even seen your memorials, but to experience it with 100 other servicemen, that makes it extra special. And
all the pictures that get taken and sent to you and just downloaded, they send every just like you say, they spoiled us rotten. It's an amazing day. And so now let's fast forward to this year. Here we are, late February. You're already thinking about 2022, am I right?
Absolutely. We're planning our spring flight schedule.
And do you have any idea about when you want to start that?
Usually we'll start in April. So because we had such an amazing year last year, we were able to get through most of our waiting list because we had servicemen on a waiting list for 3 and 4 years. So we were able to get through most of our waiting list, fortunately.
That's
great. So we're going to start flying in April. We'll probably just fly one mission a month for April, May, and June. Usually take off the summer because it's really warm, and then schedule some more missions for the fall.
Now again, COVID, we all have to live with that. We know that's a part of our life right now anyway, and it doesn't really interfere too much with the honor flight. There are some restrictions, but they're really kind of, you don't notice them as much.
We've always been very protective of our veterans and making sure that they are safe. That's always been our number one priority, in addition to giving you a wonderful day. But for our missions at this point, all of our veterans and all of the guardians, all the volunteers that are around our veterans, everyone has to be fully vaccinated for COVID-19. So we were able, to fly everyone safely. We kind of stay in our own little bubble where it's just, we try to keep the general public out of our bubble a little bit, or have it limited, so that we can keep everyone safe. And we had an amazing flight schedule last fall, and we're anxious to start honoring our veterans again.
And again, it was fortunate because some of the veterans are not can't get around as much, but there's wheelchairs for all the ones that can't. There are the guardians that push them around, that take them anywhere they wanted to go. It's an amazing time to do that and to just see everything. And they take such special care of the veterans. And when you go, like when we went to the World War II monument, the one, I think we only had a couple World War II guys in our group, but they were just in their moment when we got in front of the Ohio flag there, and everybody had their picture taken in front of the Ohio flag. I mean, these are very special moments for so many of these guys, and I'm sure it was difficult not being able to do the flights because time is of an essence when you're talking about World War II guys and women and Korean guys and women. The clock is ticking a little bit, so I'm sure you're anxious to get started again.
Yes.
It's a great time. I'm sure every time you go, it's a different experience for you.
Every mission is different, and it's special. Even though we are going to the same memorials, everyone is special.
Yeah, well, it's an amazing time there. Now, if somebody wants to get, if you aren't have your name on a list or ready to go, how do they do this now? So
you could go online to honorflightcmh.org.
Okay.
And everything is on our website about our whole mission. Applications for veterans are there. How to donate is actually on our website because we are a nonprofit organization. We are fully funded by grateful Americans like you and I, and wonderful businesses. So that's how we fund our missions, to be able to honor our veterans.
So go online. What was it again? honorflightcmh.org. And they have the application on there, where to send it, how to get it in. They have numbers that people will call you back and talk to you about things. It's not a difficult process. They make it as easy as it possibly can. So again, I'll say it's one of the great days of my life. I can certainly tell you that, going to Honor Flight and being involved, going to DC and seeing all this. You and the volunteers and your organization, you run a top-notch place here, Honor Flight Columbus. I don't know how any of the groups could be any better than the one we have right here, Honor Flight Columbus. Lori Cronin, who is, again, just a volunteer, goes on all the flights, knowledgeable about all this stuff, as you can see, and a board member, too, of Honor Flight Columbus. So, gosh, Lori, thanks for joining us again. We hope for just a successful year this year. We hope none of the bad stuff comes in. We're looking for just a great spring and a great summer and a lot of good missions flown over there.
Thank you. And we were so thankful that we got to honor you last fall.
Well, believe me, I'm the one that was honored to even go. Thank Lori Cronin with us from Honor Flight Columbus. Thank you, dear. Thank you. We'll be back in just a moment on Fairfield Today.
Life is unpredictable. That's why estate planning is important. Estate planning provides you comfort and peace of mind knowing that you're taking care of your loved ones and ensuring your legacy lives on just as you envisioned. You lived a life that is beautifully and uniquely yours. You deserve an estate planning attorney who understands that and creates a plan as unique as you and in the best interest of your loved ones. You deserve the local, trusted, experienced attorneys at Dagger Law.
Fairfield Medical goes the extra mile to give attention to their patients, to their guests, anybody that comes within those doors.
There's no question that the staff there are all personally invested in seeing that I got the best care possible.
The staff was so comforting. I felt like she was in the best hands.
They basically gave me a second chance at life, and I'm going to make the most of it.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area, where the fountain is, and the memorials, and the flags, and all this stuff. And I looked around and I said, there's our bank right there.
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with the community bank where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want to bank at a local home bank. And the employees are happy here, they're conversant, customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Fairfield Today. Thanks, Lori Cronin, for coming in for something that, again, I'm very passionate about. Honor Flight is such an amazing day. I had last year going on it, and she does such a great job. And Honor Flight Columbus is such a wonderful organization. We'll switch back a little more local here now. Young lady we haven't had on. It's been a while since we've had Susan-Nixon-Stoughton on. Susan, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we love to have you. You know that. You know that. We love to have you on. And Susan is the executive director of the Lighthouse. And I think that's kind of a gray area for a lot of people. I think they think of maybe it's a shelter for battered women. Maybe that's what everybody thinks of it as, but it's much more.
Sure is. We're a full program, and we're not just a shelter for women. We have 6 individual units, so we are able to help men as well.
Okay.
That's one of the little unknown pieces.
Yeah, and that's good to put out there because we know the more you hear about this, the more you hear about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the larger part of what we do is we employ 4 full-time victim advocates that work out of municipal court as well as the Court of Common Pleas. And they're really with a victim every step of the way, from if charges are filed last night, then the victim, their case arrives in our office and we start reaching out to the victim. It may be 1, it may be 5, you never know. Every case is different. And start working with them on when the accused will be in front of a judge. So it starts with all the information. And then when it's time to go into court, the victim's advocates work with them on their impact statement, how this has impacted them. And many times it's very unnerving for someone to have to read that. So the victim's advocate will step up and actually read that victim impact statement for them.
Yeah.
So about 1,200 people last year we helped through the victim advocacy program. So it's, until you need that part, you really don't realize that that's part of our umbrella.
You don't know what you don't know.
It's a larger part, though, of what we do.
Yeah, that's great. And so there's somebody every step of the way to kind of guide you through this maze of, and it truly is a maze. There's, court appearances and a lot of paperwork to fill out. And of course, we know how much paperwork is involved in that.
Well, when you think about a victim, they've already been through enough.
Yeah.
And then even hearing the word court is intimidating. And maybe they've had somebody who's been involved in the court system and, they're just scared to death to even have to go through that process.
Heard horror stories.
In the case of one victim that we helped, his wife had been the abuser for the 20-odd years of their marriage. And when finally the sheriff was called by a neighbor and charges were filed, the first thing that the victim's advocate did, Jessica reached out to him, and he said there's not going to be a judge anywhere that's going to believe that a man was beat by a woman. And she said, his job is to be fair and impartial, and my job is to make sure that you have somebody with you every step of the way.
Everyone needs an advocate.
And it came through. She was found guilty. He was a man that really felt he took his vows seriously and had no plans to ever divorce her.
Yeah.
And by getting the help and the recognition that somebody believed what was happening made all the difference in the world. And
he didn't think that would happen.
No.
Yeah.
He sent me a wonderful letter and said that he will shout from the rooftops about the difference that the Lighthouse made in his life.
So a win like that, it goes a long way, I'm sure. And everybody's spirits are lifted when you hear that. And
so much of what we do is it's dark, right?
Well,
and so when you do have the successes, you celebrate those.
Sure.
You make sure that, a term that we use a lot is self-care, because you do see a lot of very dark situations, and it's tough to not take those home with you. But at the end of the day, maybe there's a kiddo you had an interaction with at the shelter. Maybe it's a success story through the court system. You have to really spend more time focusing on those, as opposed to maybe a new client that's just come into shelter, that you're seeing things that, or hearing things that you haven't heard in a while or even before.
Now, one thing that Susan alluded to is, there can be some dark moments with the Lighthouse and everything that goes on. We'll talk about some of those other things as we move through this, but kind of unusual now, we actually have kind of a fun thing to talk about, which we don't get to talk about all that many things with the serious subject of the Lighthouse and the things they deal with. But you have a big, fun fundraiser coming up here shortly. Tell us about that.
We do. On Saturday, February 26th.
Coming up very soon.
Yes. We are doing our inaugural Howl at the Moon. It's Howl at the Moon to go.
Howl at the Moon to go.
So they load pianos on trucks, and we went for the full entertainment option, which was adding a guitar and a drummer. So we'll have the full experience as if somebody was perhaps going to an actual Howl at the Moon bar, and just felt like it was something that would be positive, fun, and uplifting, as opposed to maybe what people think of when they think of the Lighthouse.
Really need some of that, something to break that a little bit. And this is, as I understand, interactive entertainment?
It is, yes. So,
will you be singing?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm just asking.
No. And everybody there will thank me. So basically, there'll be slips of paper on each table.
Yes.
And people can request a song.
Nice.
And if they really want to hear their song, maybe they'll wrap that piece of paper in a 5 or something, because they really want the piano players
to the top of the list. I get it.
Which, on a side note, all of that tip money is donated back to the Lighthouse.
Yeah. And this is nice.
Yes.
First time you've done this,
It's our inaugural event, yes, and we're very, very excited about it. We went to the largest venue that we knew we could find in town, so we're having it out at the Eagles on East Main Street. And
big area out there.
It is. It's a big open room, and with a stage that's lifted slightly so that the piano players and everybody can be seen.
What would just be round tables then, each table?
Yes,
yes. And I guess the good news is that you're having it. Kind of the unfortunate news now is that, what I hear, you sold out in 19 days?
19 days
19
we sold out.
days.
Yes. I was very tickled. We announced it on New Year's Eve. I had it all scheduled and ready to go for midnight. That something new in 22, and we started ticket sales a few days after that. So technically it wasn't a full 19 days, but on the 19th I had to unbelievably put out there that we had sold out.
First one, you just never know. Now you do have, you can put your name on a waiting list?
Sure. If people want to get a hold of us on our Facebook page, the Lighthouse Facebook page, then just send me a private message, and I will add you to the waiting list. Several people who have been on the list, we've been able to help get seats.
Nice.
Because we've had sponsors who have very generously donated back the tickets that they would have gotten as part of their sponsorship.
And we might mention that we'll be showing those sponsors here. They're on the page, that they have those listed, that you can see them. Some great businesses and individuals.
The presenting sponsor is People's Bank, and they stepped up right away and just said, and with any sponsor, when you're going out to them and you're sharing with them, take my word for it, it's going to be a great fundraiser. But you really don't have anything to show them.
First one.
Exactly.
Next year it'll be a little easier to sell.
Okay, well,
I don't know how it could be any easier.
Well, I was just going to say, we've had a ton of support.
Isn't that great?
And
I think that says a lot about how much respect and what the community thinks of the job your place does in the community.
And I have to tell you right now, we are no different than any other business out there. We are unable to hire staff, and my staff, I cannot say enough about the coworkers that I work with every day.
Because you're a few people down.
We are several people down, and the shelter's open 24/7, right?
Yeah, right.
But I have a advocate that has stepped up to come in and work a shift. Just anything that we can do we're trying our hardest to keep everybody healthy.
Yeah.
But when you're down so few people and you're trying to keep a place open 24/7, it takes all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And
it isn't like a business. Well, we'll close for a couple days, and everybody's healthy. We'll come back. The lights on all the time.
Exactly. So I'm very proud of them, and without them, we couldn't have rebuilt the reputation, and just putting us back on the map to let people know that we are here. We do care. And there are, when you look at 1,200 people just on the victim advocacy side, we're helping a lot of people in Fairfield County every year.
Now, Fairfield County is one of the busier counties for your needs, right, in the state?
I wouldn't say that, no, because you're going to have bigger counties that are going to have, they're going to have
you've had your share
more cases.
of cases.
We definitely hold our own.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is thanks to the court system, because they're moving cases through, and we can help people, and we're not backlogged to ever have to tell somebody we can't help them.
So as I remember, Fairfield County is the fourth largest county, growing county in Ohio, and the job doesn't get smaller.
It does not, and I will tell you that not all 88 counties have a shelter.
I would have guessed everyone had one.
No, well, I can tell you just in our area, Perry County does not, Hocking County does not.
Really?
So
those are large counties.
To not have shelters,
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
So we're
you
very
take
blessed.
Some folks in from there too.
We serve Fairfield County, but if we get a call that a shelter is at capacity, or that there's somebody who doesn't have a shelter, yes, we will help them.
And so I look into the positions. You have house managers.
We do.
These are people that, again, 24/7.
Absolutely.
People are there, and through all this, and I'm sure through COVID it was tough, but you made it.
And I have to tell you, those ladies are great. Whether it was Thanksgiving or Christmas and any type of holiday, we want to make it as much like home as possible.
Sure.
So they're fixing ham and scalloped potatoes and doing what they can do to make sure that the clients are there. Nobody wants to be in a shelter, but nobody wants to be there during a holiday.
No.
And they do a great job to make sure that it's as much like home as possible.
And then you have case managers. These are the people I think you spoke of earlier that get involved from the get-go, and they follow people.
So my case manager actually works one-on-one with folks through the shelter.
Okay.
So it may be, they may be entitled to benefits that they didn't realize they were. She'll make sure that she gets them to the right agency to get what they're entitled to. Maybe it's finding them permanent housing. It could be that mom has just landed a new job and needs arrangements for babysitting. She can work with Job and Family Services. So within the agency, she really is that person that connects them. The victims' advocates are the ones that get involved immediately.
They're the ones that help you navigate this from
the court
day
system.
one. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I might list this. They list their goal is to meet and exceed the needs and services of their clients. So I guess that every day with every person you have in there that comes in and avails themselves of your services, that's the point, to just do everything. And your folks know that, and I'm sure, as you've indicated, they just go out of their way.
We only have 6 units. So I guess the upside to that is we're small enough that we truly can care about every person that comes through there.
Personal care now.
And we do. It is, everybody's story's different. We can't assume that we know what somebody's been through because we didn't go through that ourselves.
Sure.
And I think that if we ever get, maybe, I don't know if the right word is jaded, but if that's kind of the attitude that we take, it's probably time to find another job.
Yeah, you don't want that. You want just whatever it is, that's what we'll do here today.
Exactly.
Every day you start over.
Exactly. And it's reminding clients who have had the mental abuse, I think sometimes is worse, that they're not worth anything, they can't do anything, and we literally have to start from the ground up to say, oh, but you can.
We'll go back just one more time to hit on and again, it's a full house now. It's coming up for February 26th. Howl at the Moon to go out at the Eagles out on East Main. Again, there's a waiting list. It's full up now, but there's a waiting list, and they have been able to get people on. So I would say if you're interested in going to this, which I hope you are, get on your Facebook page, and then you get a hold of you through
private
that.
message.
Okay. And they've got the sponsors. I want to mention those folks again who just make the difference.
Exactly.
These folks make the difference.
They stepped up to make sure that we could pull this off.
Wow.
That we can raise money because the Lighthouse is grant funded and funded through fundraisers and donors. because everything we do is free. I don't care if it's sitting beside somebody in court or if you're in the shelter for 2 months, everything we do is free.
Well, it's the Lighthouse. I think that hopefully it gives you a little more insight into what you do. Again, some of it's kind of dark. You kind of keep a lot of it to yourselves. You don't let a lot out there, but well, what a needed project. Would you say the need's going up as we move through? Yeah.
Yeah, when the last time I talked to you, it was early in the pandemic, and I reported then that we were being told by potential clients that, look, do I stay at home with a monster I know, or do I come to the shelter, and basically referring to COVID as the monster they didn't know. And, you know, we can't convince them that we're clean. And we follow CDC guidelines, and we're constantly wiping things down, and we're doing everything that we need to do. But you've never been to our shelter before, you don't know that. So they really had to make some tough choices. And in other cases, everybody was home, right? They couldn't get away from their abuser. So we've initiated now where you can reach out to us through our email and texting, and that's all on our website, www.lancasterlh.org, so that if you can't talk to us on the phone for your crisis call, you have a couple of alternative ways you can get to us.
To get through. Susan-Nixon-Stoughton, Executive Director of the Lighthouse, do great work down there, and I hope you're told that every day by multiple people, because you guys get the job done.
And they, without some great coworkers, we couldn't do what we do.
Great staff, great folks down there.
We have a great team.
Very good. The Lighthouse, Executive Director Susan-Nixon-Stoughton, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for joining us on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.